Hey, what's up, people? Troy Alexander here. Hopefully everyone is well on today. Just want to spend a little time with you today and talk about credit. Very important topic. This is basically geared toward the younger people that are looking to get their finances together. Older people as well, if your credit score is not where it needs to be. I'm going to share some very valuable information and some tips on how to get your credit score high and how to keep it high. The first thing I want to talk about is how important credit is. Credit is extremely important, good credit in regards to your finances, right along with cash and income. And I'm going to get into those other ones in a moment. But let's talk about credit now. The most important thing in regards to getting your credit score up is making your payments on time. It's very important that you make your payments, all your payments on time. Do not be late. And let's say you're 30 years old. If you make one late payment, you have one late payment, it will affect your credit. It will drop your credit score for the next 7 years. There's different ways that you can go about possibly getting that item off your credit. You can try to get a pay to delete, where you pay the creditor and they will delete it off your credit, but a lot of creditors won't do that. They may make a deal with you where they'll negotiate for you to pay a certain amount and they'll call it paid in full instead of a charge off. But with that, it's best that you just don't even pay it and just let it fall off, because what it might do is trigger that whole 7-year cycle over again, and it might hurt you more than help you. It's very important, whether you have to, get a calendar, put the dates that your bills are due on that calendar, or have bill pay where your payments are coming directly out of your bank account. But whatever you have to do, the last thing you want to do is have a late payment. So I'd say that's the most important thing, is to make sure that your payments are made on time. Let's say that happens. You're 30 years old. The next thing you know, you're 37, 38 years old. Things are going good. A couple of years later, you slip and you forgot about a bill. Here we go again. Now you started a whole new 7-year cycle, and your credit is dropped again. Your credit score went down, and you're affected for the next 7 years. So next thing you know, you're going on 50 years old and you still have a low credit score. So, that's one of the most important things. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is debt. Debt is important. And let me elaborate on that. Debt, even the Bible says that, you should be the creditor, not the debtor. However, in this society, most people have debt, and you can actually use debt in order to become the creditor, to become the landlord. Even millionaires, a lot of millionaires have debt, most of them, because they understand the science behind it and how to manage and utilize debt. So when you make large purchases, regarding assets, it's a good idea to use the bank's money. That way, your cash is free, so you can leverage your cash in order to put you in a position where you can accumulate more assets. But we'll get into that in another video. So getting back to debt. Debt can be your friend. Now, there's two different types of debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt would be mortgage loans, car loans, bank money loans. That's all good debt. Lenders and creditors are going to look at that, and it doesn't matter how much it is. As long as you're consistently making your payments on time for years, they're going to look at that like, okay, this person is responsible. They know how to manage debt. Bad debt would be credit card debt. Now, that debt you want to keep as low as possible. You really want to try to keep your debt on your credit cards at least no more than 30%. Like, you want to have at least 70% available credit on your credit cards. Now, a lot of times it gets away from us, 50%, 70%. Sometimes we max them out. But as soon as you get some money, the best thing to do is to pay as much as possible to get that credit card balance down as low as possible, preferably under 30%. And that's going to help your credit score. Lastly, and I'm gonna say lastly because I don't want this video to be too long. There's a lot of things that they look at. There's a lot of things you need to be concerned about, but I just want to hit some main points. And another point I want to hit is debt to credit ratio. Okay, your debt to credit ratio is basically a financial picture of your credit and your debt. How much debt you have and how much credit you have. Now, your income is also calculated into that credit. So you want to keep your debt to credit ratio at least no more than 40%. If it gets beyond 40%, you might want to pay some things down and get that debt to credit ratio down, because that is definitely something that lenders look at. Even if you have a high credit score, you know what I'm saying, your debt to credit ratio might stop you from getting a loan. All right. Now I mentioned income. I work with a commercial property owner. Well, I worked with several of them, but in one instance, I had worked with a gentleman, and his credit score was excellent, like 840, 850. That's the highest that you can get. And he tried to get some more property, and he couldn't get another loan. And reason being because he didn't have any income. The only income that he had was from his rental properties. This man had a lot of money, but again, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to, he wanted to get a loan because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, right? He couldn't get a loan. I mean, he could have paid cash, but he didn't want to do that. You don't want to, use all your cash, right? So he couldn't get a loan because they look at that like a supplemental income. You have to have a primary source of income. You have to be employed or self-employed. They want to see bank statements. They want to see profit and loss statements. Income is very important, right along with cash. And the reason why I say cash, anytime that you get into investing, you have to have reserves, or, when you talk about commercial real estate, you always have to have reserves in the bank. You got to have money in the bank, sufficient amount of liquidity. So, that's important as well. So those are just some tips for you to help you. I personally, my credit score is right now is around 730. It should be around 750, 760 in the next couple of months. 735 is the cross between good credit and very good credit. Once you have very good credit, you can pretty much get the lowest finance rates, the lowest interest rates for anything that you want to purchase. So, it's important to try to get your credit score as high as possible. All right, so those are some suggestions and some tips, some things I learned over the years. For those young people watching right now, you don't want to wait until you're 50 years old to have good credit. You know what I'm saying? If you apply these things that I'm telling you right now, if you grasp what I'm saying and you really focus, you can get your credit high, and you know what? You can live the lifestyle that you want to live. You can do the things that you really want to do in life and have more time to do it instead of waiting until you're 50 to get your credit right. All right. So, and credit is like a pet. It's like having a pet. If you treat that pet good, that pet's going to be good to you. If you mistreat that pet might bite you. It's the same with credit. If you treat your credit well, your credit is going to be good to you. But if you mistreat your credit's going to bite you in the ass, and it's going to take about 7 years to heal. Now, if your dog bites you, it might not take that long. All right, peace and love, y'all. We'll talk soon.